Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So today we're tackling nearshore software development. Something we see more and more companies exploring these days,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a hot topic for sure.
especially for our listeners who are always looking to stay ahead of the curve in tech.
Right, and find those smart, efficient solutions.
Exactly. We've got a great blog post as our guide today, really digging into nearshore best practices.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and they're specifically focused on enterprise-level companies. So right off the bat, I think it's important to make sure we're all on the same page about what nearshore actually means.
Yeah, good point. It's easy to get confused with all the different terms out there.
So can you give us a quick breakdown, like what's the core difference between nearshore and offshoring?
Sure, I can do that. So both involve outsourcing development work, right?
Right.
But the key difference is geography. Nearshoring is all about partnering with a team that's in a nearby country, often sharing a similar time zone.
Uh-huh. So not across the world, like with offshoring.
Exactly. With offshoring, you might be dealing with a 12-hour time difference, completely different workdays.
Yeah, that can definitely complicate things.
Big time. Nearshoring keeps things a bit closer to home. It can make collaboration smoother, communication easier, and even help with aligning on cultural stuff.
Makes sense. And the blog post really dives into those benefits,
Yeah.
specifically for bigger companies, enterprise level.
Right.
What kind of advantages are they highlighting?
So they really hit on three main points:
Okay.
streamlined operations, cutting costs, and boosting efficiency.
Those are all pretty significant.
Yeah, and they can have a direct impact on the bottom line, which is what everyone's looking for.
For sure. Now, finding the right nearshore partner, that's got to be key, right?
Absolutely. It's crucial.
The blog post talks a lot about trust and transparency.
Right.
Like, how do you actually go about making sure you're choosing the right partner?
Mhm.
I mean, are there specific steps people can take?
Definitely. There are some practical things you can do. First, don't just jump on the first option you see, right? Really take some time to dig into their website.
Okay.
Look closely at the reviews they have.
Mm-hmm.
Read testimonials, especially from companies that are similar to yours.
So you can kind of see how they handled things in a similar situation.
Exactly. Pay attention to how they talk about overcoming challenges, how they incorporate feedback,
Okay.
and how they adapt to changes, because things always change.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's almost like you're doing a little detective work.
You are, in a way, you're trying to figure out their work style, their problem-solving approach.
Right. And once you've found a potential partner, the blog post really emphasizes communication.
Oh, absolutely.
Why is that so crucial, especially with nearshore development?
Communication is essential for any project, right?
Of course.
But with nearshore, you've got that distance factor. You might have different ways of working, maybe
Mhm.
some cultural nuances to navigate. Clear, consistent communication is the bridge that connects everyone and makes sure you're all on the same page.
It's like the foundation of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of tools, the blog post mentions a few platforms.
Yeah, they do.
Dropbox, Asana, Trello, Jira, those are all popular ones.
Right. I think a lot of people listening will already be familiar with them.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the context of nearshore collaboration, any tips for making the most of them?
Well, it's not just about using the tools.
Right.
It's about using them in a way that's specifically geared towards nearshore success, right?
So thinking strategically about how you're setting things up.
Exactly. Let's take Jira, for example.
Okay.
Having a super clear workflow for managing those tickets,
Mm,
making sure everyone understands the process, that can make a huge difference.
yeah, that makes sense.
Or Asana, you could set up specific projects for each sprint
Okay.
with detailed task breakdowns, clear deadlines, and with any of these tools,
Yeah.
regular updates, clear communication within the platform.
Keep everyone informed.
Right. That keeps everything transparent and keeps the project moving forward.
Awesome. Now, time zones, got to talk about that. It's a factor with any remote team.
It is.
But why is it especially important in a nearshore context?
Okay, so you're right. Time zones are always something to consider with remote work.
Mhm.
But with nearshore, it's a bit of a balancing act.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Unlike fully offshore teams, where the workday might barely overlap,
Right.
nearshore often means you've got a few hours of shift time.
Uh-huh. So you have to be strategic about how you use those hours.
Exactly. You want to maximize that overlap for real-time collaboration, but also respect everyone's individual schedule.
Right. That's a good point. So how do we strike that balance? The blog post mentions regular meetings, finding times that work for everyone.
Yeah, meetings are a good starting point.
Okay.
But it's really about having a more dynamic approach to managing the team.
Dynamic in what sense?
Frequent check-ins, clear feedback loops, even some virtual team building activities, to build those connections even with the distance.
Yeah, I like that. Keep people feeling connected.
Right. And don't underestimate asynchronous communication.
What do you mean by that?
Things that don't require an immediate response.
So people can work on things within their own time zone.
Exactly. It allows everyone to work during their most productive hours.
That's smart. And here's an interesting suggestion from the blog post, actually visiting the Nearshore team.
Oh, yeah, I love that idea.
Beyond the whole team building aspect, why is that so impactful?
It's more than just casual team building.
Okay.
It's about fostering really deep connections.
I see.
When you experience their work environment firsthand, understand their culture, have those face-to-face interactions, it builds a level of trust and rapport that's tough to get through a screen.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it shows you're really invested in the partnership.
Exactly. It shows you value them.
Right. And speaking of culture, the blog post highlights how important it is to bridge those cultural differences, even with regions that are relatively close.
Definitely, even small differences can have a big impact.
So what are some concrete examples of how cultural nuances can affect software projects?
Oh, there are tons of examples. Think about communication styles.
Yeah.
What's considered direct and assertive in one culture could be seen as rude in another.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Decision-making can be different, too. Some cultures are all about consensus. Others are more top-down. Understanding those nuances and adapting how you communicate and collaborate, that's crucial.
Absolutely. So how do we bridge those gaps effectively? The blog post talks about understanding and valuing both the nearshore team's culture and our own company culture.
Right.
How do we actually put that into practice?
It starts with being really committed to cultural sensitivity,
Okay.
open-mindedness. Encourage intercultural training workshops for both your in-house team and the nearshore team.
Got it.
Create chances for informal interaction, cultural exchange, maybe virtual coffee breaks, online team building activities.
Yeah, that's fun.
And celebrate those differences. Make sure everyone feels comfortable sharing their perspective.
That's great. So to wrap things up, it seems like nearshore development can be a really powerful strategy,
It can.
but you got to approach it thoughtfully.
Right.
Clear communication is key, and respect for those cultural differences is super important.
Absolutely. My final takeaway for everyone listening.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember the human element. Nearshore isn't just about code.
Right?
It's about building relationships, fostering understanding, creating a collaborative environment where everyone feels valued.
Excellent point to end on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
My pleasure.
And for all of you listening, keep exploring, keep innovating, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.